Hello everyone, this tarot reading is focusing on the question, how can you spot patterns before they repeat? So heads up, I am going to go Gemini mode, which means I'm going to go here, there and everywhere. But hopefully, once I've brought this up and I've said this, it all kind of fits in and makes sense, okay? So I want to speak to you about, first of all, the polar bear spirit. And it says here, stand up for yourself and speak your truth respectfully and compassionately and with no attachment to the outcome. So when this card first came out and I touched the card, I had a flashback of my dream that I had years ago. Now, I wasn't sure if I wanted to bring up this dream, but I think it really kind of makes sense with this reading, so I'm gonna. Right. Years ago, I had this dream about I was in my dream. I was in bed, and I heard a tap at my window, and so I climbed out of bed and I opened my window, and there was a massive polar bear at my window, and he spoke to me with a very, such a lovely old gentleman, posh, friendly way. It was just lovely, and I was shocked, and I said, "Well, what are you doing?" He said, "Oh, I've come to speak to you." I said, "Oh, no, my darling." I said, "You can't." He said, he was so shocked. He's like, "Why?" I said, "Because you've got fleas." He went, "Oh, okay then." And he just turned away and started to, bugger off. And I leant out my window, I shouted at him, no, come back. And he came back and he climbed into my bedroom and he sat on my bed. You know how, like, monkeys, they pick fleas off the other monkey? That's what I was doing to this polar bear. And we spoke in the dream very deep spiritual stuff, okay? And now, when I think about it now, I'm thinking, bloody hell, like, that was deep as fuck. And yeah, anyways, what's actually really funny is because when I woke up, I had Reiki that day, and the lady that was doing Reiki on me, she was focusing on my crown chakra. She was really strange. She says, "I keep seeing this polar bear." And I said, "That's interesting," because I had a dream about polar bear last night. Anyways, now, I feel the reason why I had that flashback of that dream is because if I did not listen to my instincts or my intuition and call that polar bear back, I would not have had that deep spiritual conversation with that polar bear. Yes, there's this dream, but I still had that was a very deep conversation, okay? So the fact is that I listened to my instincts. Now, instincts, remember that, okay? Gemini mode, instincts. Next part I want to say, when I was shuffling the tarot, the Queen of Wands jumped out and landed at the bottom of the Animal Spirit deck, and it landed on the Emu Spirit, and it says here, this is a good time to go on to a new adventure. Now, the way that the Queen of Wands landed on the deck, it felt more reversed, okay? Now, Queen of Wands upright is usually that fun, confident, courageous energy. She goes for things, she explores, she enjoys life. She doesn't hold herself back, okay? Because she has good instincts. She trusts herself. Yeah, definitely. When it's reversed, the Queen of Wands, it's like she's doubting herself. She's holding herself back and she's not fully seeing what she's capable of, okay? So her landing on the Emu Spirit, which is all about going on a new adventure, to me it's like you're being guided to move forward, but something in you is hesitating or second guessing yourself. And the Queen of Wands, my darling, she does not second guess herself at all, okay? And when I look at the Polar Bear Spirit, standing up for yourself and speaking the truth, now to me I feel this is really about confidence and boundaries. Now, because this is about saying what you need to say, placing boundaries and not overthinking how it's going to be received, I feel with the Queen of Wands, the way she's landed, and with the Polar Bear Spirit, some of you might be holding back from speaking the truth because you might be worried about upsetting someone or being disliked or how it will come across, okay? Now, don't forget, this reading is about it's focusing on the question, what's it focusing on? What the question is? How can you spot patterns before they repeat, okay? Now, this is where you need to step, I feel, with the tarot being here, into that Queen of Wands energy, because she is confident, she is respected, and she is admired. And she doesn't dim herself to make others comfortable, okay? My darling, if... I really strongly get this. Now, Gemini mode, don't forget I'm doing Gemini thing. If someone does not like a boundary that you've put up, or stopped speaking to you because you stood your ground. That should tell you everything you need to know about that person, okay? And in my opinion, the less people like that you have in your life, the better, okay? Now, with these two cards, it's really highlighting to me that when you place a boundary and stick to it calmly, confidently, without being aggressive, you gain a lot more respect, more than you realise. And that works more in your favour as well, okay? And most importantly, you're actually teaching others how to treat you, but also helping them more than you realise by holding a boundary or speaking the truth or speaking up when you need to, or whatever it is or resonates for you. I feel really like you're actually teaching them more than you realise by having healthy boundaries or by speaking the truth or by saying what you need to say. Yeah, I don't want to go too long into it, but you're helping them more than you realise, okay? Yes, might be triggering for them. Yes, they might test you. Yes, they might get turn out to be a dick because you've had a boundary put up or you've said what you've needed to say. But with the Queen of Wands, it's saying, and with the Polar Bear Spirit here as well, it's really saying don't hold yourself back, okay? Just because you might get a reaction. Don't hold yourself back. Now, with the tarot, you've got the Queen of Wands. Now, the Queen of Wands I feel, is you at your most intuitive and self-aware, okay? This is that energy where you just know. It's not overthinking, it's not analysing, it's that first gut feeling you get about a person or a situation, okay? Then you've got the Lovers, and this is where things start to shift. To me, this is a moment where a choice is being made. Something feels good. There's a pull toward it, maybe excitement or curiosity, but at the same time, there's already a quiet knowing in the background. And instead of fully trusting the first feeling, to me, I feel like it's like you give a chance, okay? You lean into it to see how it plays out. Then over time, unfortunately, it becomes the Ten of Wands. It gets heavier, draining, hard work. You end up carrying more than you should. And it starts to feel like, why does this shit always fucking happen? But the truth is, it didn't come out of nowhere, my darling. It was really, it was felt right at the beginning. Okay, your instincts, your intuition told you straight at the start of it all. Okay. And with the Hanged Man reversed at the bottom of the deck, this shows that you do see things very clearly, but sometimes you resist that pause, that moment of reflection, okay? Kind of like what I almost did with that polar bear in the dream. I kind of let him go away, but I paused and I allowed myself to I allowed myself to think and feel, okay, and listen to myself and trust myself. And I'm grateful that I did, yeah? So I do strongly feel it's like you already know, my darling, but you keep moving anyways. Does that make sense? So how do you spot patterns before they repeat? It's not about looking harder or analysing more. I feel it's about trusting that very first feeling you get before you talk yourself out of it. Because the pattern doesn't start when things get heavy. It starts at the moment something feels slightly off and you choose to keep moving forward anyways, okay? I had it with, oh God, I don't even need to give examples. You will know. If you can pause in that moment when something feels exciting but also a little uncertain and really listen to yourself, that, my darling, is when everything changes. You do not need more proof. You already see it earlier than you think, okay? You are actually a very, very intuitive person. And this spread shows that you do not lack awareness at all. You just sometimes give things a chance past the point your intuitions already spoke, okay? So I hope this reading's made sense to you in some way. Have a good day. Bye-bye.